welcome to the Southern Illinois Pigskin Picks. I'm Scott Meese with Les Winkler and Pete Spittler. We're halfway through the season now. Les, what do you think about what's going on so far? Obviously, I think it would be a fair statement to say football down here, for the most part, is down.
Yeah, it's certainly down. There just aren't. I mean, when you look at the list of teams, there just aren't those standout players that jump out at you that like in previous years.
There are, but not.
Not to that number. I mean,
right.
Like there normally are. Like there's, in a normal year you can think of 10, 12, 15 kids who you just. And this year the number is just smaller, and the teams just aren't as good. It's competitive. I mean, everyone's about at the same level because every week it seems like these picks are tougher and tougher. But it's just not a stellar year overall.
And obviously, you mentioned competitive. The Ohio division, is a toss-up. But at the same point, you look ahead to the postseason, which will be here before you know it, and you ask yourself, how many of these teams could survive the second, third round, and it's I can count them on one hand, if that. So,
all right, let's get into it. Belleville-Althoff, fresh off of a shocking 50-something-7 win over Centralia out here. Centralia lost maybe their best player for the season. You still wouldn't expect them to give up that many to an Althoff team who lost their best players from last year. They play at Marion. Your thoughts on this one, Les?
I spoke to some people from Centralia earlier this week, and apparently the Orphans lost a lot of turnovers, had a lot of turnovers that led directly to Althoff touchdowns. But now I was leaning toward Marion before that Centralia game, but now I'm going to pick Althoff. Just Marion's been so up and down, and you just don't really know what to expect from them. But I can say the same thing about Althoff. Okay. But right now, Althoff their resume looks a little bit better, so I'll go with the Crusaders.
And this was a real hard one for me to decipher, and just given, like you mentioned, how Marion's up and down. Althoff, losing a whole bunch from last year, and still with Marion being at home and Kerry Martin being the strategist that he is, I gotta go with Marion on this one.
I'm going with Marion just because until they prove to turn into a bad team one of these years, I'm always going to pick Marion if they're at home. If Brent Hill gets to start and play quarterback the whole game, I don't think Marion will lose this football game. He's not played the first half, and someone else has started, and different things going on there, for lack of a better term. He's an incredible athlete. If he gets to play quarterback the whole game, I think Marion wins, and I'm going to go with the Wildcats. Carbondale at Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, I believe, led pretty much the whole game against Marion and lost in overtime. Carbondale gets a close win over Cahokia. I think the Terriers are still kicking themselves in their mind. I think they believe they should be 5-0. They're a better football team than Centralia is in their mind. That didn't happen. They blew that ball game, so they're 4-1. Mount Vernon's 3-2, but it is at Mount Vernon. Your thoughts, Les?
Well, this Marion comes into play in this pick too. I was leaning toward Mount Vernon in this game, but then when Marion came from behind to beat the Rams, and I always did like Carbondale. I just think Carbondale's offense is very, very good. But the Marion coming back and beating Mount Vernon is allowing me to pick Carbondale with clear conscience.
Clear conscience.
Clear conscience.
You can't have a clear conscience in any of these other picks. Just this
about nothing else, but I do have a clear conscience on this one.
I got to go with Carbondale on this one too. I think offensively, with the weapons they have, you look at Justin Hoffman and just the things he can do at quarterback, and Shamark Bursey. When I saw him against Centralia, he had over 200 yards receiving, and anybody who's capable of putting that up, and he's capable of doing that on a consistent basis. I got to go with that style offense, so I pick Carbondale.
I'm going to go with Carbondale, and barring injuries, I will probably pick them every week the rest of the year, so let's move on. All right, Harrisburg at Benton. Anyone who says they really think they know what's going to happen here, the Ohio is just down this year. Heron's good, but I think not as good as maybe some of their previous teams have been. Harrisburg is certainly down. Jaron Goldman played, I think, a series or two last week with the broken arm and a cast. Didn't work out very well. Was not effective. Benton, Button at quarterback, pretty much has to do almost everything on offense for them. He's been playing with a shoulder injury. So this is an interesting game to pick. Your thoughts, Les?
It's Ed Benton, and Button just seems to come up with big plays when they need it. And I mean, you're right. This is just one of those pick the name out of a hat. And since it's Ed Benton, I'm going to go with the Rangers.
I'm going to go with Benton just for the sake of, Matt Benton. I mean, yeah, he's nursing, like Scott said, he's nursing his shoulder injury, and Benton's trying to preserve him a little bit by starting Tyler Orr at quarterback last week against West Frankfort and kind of experimenting with Lars Allen at running back. But at the same point, Button is explosive. He's a difference maker. First time he touched the ball against West Frankfort and went for a 35-yard touchdown. So if you get a playmaker like that with enough room to make plays, you got to pick him. So I picked Benton.
I was all set to pick Benton, but because I'm trying to catch people in the picks, and I'm pretty positive the two I want to catch are going to pick Harrisburg, so I'm going to go with Harrisburg just to be safe. But
mercenary, totally mercenary.
I think if Button can play the whole game, even if he can't throw, he's that good. I mean, he's one of the better quarterbacks around here, and but I just think somehow Harrisburg will figure out a way to get this done. But they don't have that big, who was the kid last year, the huge kid that, pretty much just gained 2 or 3 yards a carry and carried it 35 times. Forget his name. They don't have that this year, really, or anybody that talented. But I still think it'll be a good game, but I'm going with the Bulldogs. Last game, it's the Black Diamond, so 5-0 doesn't always mean a whole lot to me. It does in the case of El Dorado. I'm not sure about Fairfield. I'm going with El Dorado. I don't know that they'll lose the rest of the year in the regular season. They're too big up front. Skill guys are too good. And I think this may be their year. I'm going to go with El Dorado.
Dylan Roberts, the fullback at El Dorado, may be the best football player that most people in Southern Illinois haven't heard of. He's just a hard-nosed fullback. What I like about him is he takes what the defense gives him. If there's 2 yards there, he puts his pads down. He gets the 2 yards. But he's also capable. If he gets a half a step, he's gonna break it for a decent run. I also like El Dorado's line. They're big. Although they're not fast, they're quick and they hit hard. Fairfield had their first test of the year last week when they faced Carmi. They had to go to overtime to beat Carmi at home. So and El Dorado actually handled Carmi fairly easily, and that game was also at El Dorado. So I guess I have a clear conscience on this one too, El Dorado.
Oh, twice in the
Twice.
same broadcast. Wow, that's red letter day, isn't it?
It is what it is.
Yeah. Oh wow, this was another tough one. I mean, this could be a game that ends up, nothing after 7 overtimes. But like Scott said, I think El Dorado's got the depth and the size up front that kind of proved a 6-0, and I just got to go with El Dorado on this one.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Join us back here for Week 7, and thanks for watching.